What's up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and once again, I am joined by gray hat wearing
Gershwan.
and today we're back at it answering your questions in another tingly installment of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. And every time I say question, you're supposed to take a shot. Good luck, guys. First question comes from Juan Lopez. Do you think Warhammer 40K is designed to not end or have events that change the lore into a new era? For instance, having some extraordinary event for the Imperium, like the return of several Primarchs, the ascension or death of the Emperor, a civil war provoked by the Inquisition, or anything that can take the lore in another or new direction, instead of just having a perpetual decline of the Imperium and never reach the end. A massive Tyranid invasion that is always coming, or a Necron awakening that never reaches the awakened part.
That seems to happen a lot, like that last portion. It's like, oh, the Eldar are dying. It's been, what, how long?
I think Games Workshop has become very good now at making it seem like the story is progressing, but not really, to a certain extent.
Because it is progressing, there's no lie about it. Like, we've seen the Indomitus Crusade, the Cicatrix Maledictum, the Spheres expansion of the Tau. So it is progressing, no lie about that. But still, certain things aren't.
Right. And that being, I think, the Emperor. Like, I don't ever think that the Emperor is going to come back. Now, we also said we never thought the Silent King was going to return. We also said we never thought the Primarchs were going to come back. And yet all of that stuff did come true.
Yeah,
So
we also said our schlongs aren't 8 inches long. And
look at us
look
now.
at us now.
Yeah.
Schlong, that's a funny
Schlong.
word.
But yeah, and then the other thing too is we have to keep in mind that this is the 42nd
Millennium.
It was the 41st before the Primaris stuff. So yeah, there is a progression, but the speed of that progression is going to be dictated by Games Workshop's sales. So I think they have figured out how to really manipulate the miniature line so that we go out and we buy stuff.
Right.
And who knows, maybe as the Horus Heresy novels get more and more popular, we'll see a progression in the 42nd millennia, not just the Horus Heresy.
Yeah, because I think one of the things that they really, I wouldn't say like they shot themselves in the foot on, but is like it's Primarchs. Primarchs are a huge like selling point. Because when Guilliman came out, obviously if you played Space Marines or Ultramarines for that matter, you really wanted to get Guilliman. Now, what about all these like Blood Angel players, Iron Hands players? Like your Primarch is dead. That's a huge like misstep because now there's no Primarch coming back, so GW can't make a new sculpt and sell that. So that's another interesting thing to kind of keep in mind, where retcons may happen, things that happened in the past might get changed to affect, like you were saying, sales and overall the storyline for the future.
Yeah.
So just because it's set in stone doesn't mean it'll never change.
Right.
And there's been different fan theories and reiterations of what the future holds for 40K. I did a video probably like 2-3 years back on the shape of the future to come, I believe. And that's basically giving an overview of what happened in Warhammer 40K. So basically, this was prior to the Primaris coming out. So at this point, they didn't know Primaris were a thing. So based on the lore before Primaris, there's a huge 10,000 year gap and it jumps to 50K, and then you get to see certain armies either prosper, are gone, have allied with something else, or just completely mutated into a different thing. And it's really interesting to see all these fan theories based on, what they thought was going to come to happen and what actually is happening.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite fan theories of the future is it's a future where the Tau have taken control, and the Imperium is kind of like the Eldar, and the Eldar are basically gone. But again, I think that's going to stick to fan lore. I don't think that GW is ever going to do a 50K. The game is designed for that not to happen. Because the game came out, in the 90s?
Yeah, it's been like 30 years, roughly.
And we're barely seeing a progression now. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I think what I really want to do is go back into the 8th edition codices, and they always have a timeline of events, and see if a timeline from one codex to the next to the next to the next, if it corresponds to what actually is happening in the lore.
Yeah.
Like if you go back to like the inception of the Primaris Marines, and around that time, what was going on with the Tau, what was going on with the Eldar, the Necrons, etc.,
Yeah.
to see if it makes sense.
Yeah.
But again, like this goes back to what we were saying last week, where 40K seems to be very ambiguous. So just because they have something going on their timeline, it doesn't necessarily mean that's what happened. It could just be someone's point of view, what somebody thinks is reality, but maybe they were lied to. There's a lot that can happen and change. And I think that's what makes 40K almost...
Role-playing like?
Yeah, where it's you're seeing a perspective and that you don't know if it's right or wrong.
And you get to create your own perspective because you are creating a story based or through the eyes of your army, which I think GW is doing a good job now too of paying attention to that. And the Crusade stuff is kind of tailored for that, where like if you want a progression, you can have progression in 40K, and you could even connect it to your own army. With the Crusade campaign that's in 9th edition.
Right.
So that's really exciting. We're starting to see that the design of it's not supposed to be stagnant. It's supposed to like change. And then I think during the Vigilus campaign, certain games actually changed the storyline. I think it was GW. You had to go to the GW store and stuff like that, and they had tournaments, but those campaign tournaments really affect. I think that's kind of cool. That affects the future of
Right.
40K.
But I feel like that's kind of still in GW's like mindset. Like, obviously, the most popular army is Space Marines.
Yeah.
So chances are that Space Marines will be winning.
Yeah.
Most of the time. So they're kind of already thinking with that ahead of like schedule and whatnot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like if they started that in 9th edition, look how powerful Space Marines are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This next question comes from Ty Shingleton. When will we see Tau Astartes? There's a lot of fan art. And I think from GW probably never, but you can create your own Tau Astartes because you can.
Yeah. I mean, the lore is there. Just take some gene seed, put it in some blue people, and bam. With where there's a will, there's a way.
Or just gue'vesas in general.
True.
You could just get like children and do your thing. Check out our 40 facts on Tau-controlled human worlds, and there was a story of how they were messing with genetic manipulation to the extent of the Adeptus Mechanicus. So like the Tau know how to manipulate humans and make them into superhumans. In other words, Space Marines. So it's there.
Yeah. And keeping the theme of like the future of 40K, Mikey Clark has asked, what do you guys think about the future lore? Will the Imperium be able to stop the Tyranids in total? I mean, a complete wipe of all tendrils and the core of the hive. Or will they just starve? Or will they be running away from something worse? The thing about Tyranids is we don't know exactly everything that encompasses them. The theories are that they're running away from another galaxy to come to ours. It might be that they've already completely eaten another galaxy and they're coming to ours. Or it might be that they're drawn here because of the Astronomicon. We don't know. They could be a weapon by the old ones. Maybe they consumed a Catan shard of the Outsider, and now he's the hive mind, or that star god, the Catan, is the hive mind, and it's coming over. There's a lot of what ifs, and it's very interesting to see where exactly they take it. Lore-wise, the Imperium has always had a hard time fighting them. Look at the Swarm Lord almost killing Calgar. You got Old One Eye, and no matter what, Tyranids are always a threat, but they always get pushed back.
Yeah.
So, in the future, I still think Tyranids will be a thing, but it might be similar to orcs, where they're just a constant threat. They're not going away, but they're still kind of manageable.
And I think the Imperium and like so the good guys, so the Imperium, the Tau, and
Good
the Eldar,
guys.
yeah, seem to like be um, they seem to be the most like they're always fighting each other, but GW might take it a different way and have the Necrons, now that they're awakening, step it up, and like they see the threat of the Tyranids because the Silent King saw them, and that's why he returned to Earth. And maybe he is trying to like not only control the galaxy again, but close off the Great Rift and deal with the Tyranids. So the future of the Tyranids might even be like they might be killed, not completely, but they might be like pushed to like a not as big of a threat by the Necrons.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we kind of saw little inklings of this when the Space Marines, the Blood Angels, teamed up with the Necrons to take on the Tyranid threat.
Yeah.
Only for the Necrons to double cross them.
Yeah.
So that's probably what will happen later on.
It's going to be fun to see what GW does with the Tyranids. This question comes from Guardian Forever. Sound Alchemist. Your partner's name doesn't seem written out anywhere. So for those of us who are phonetically impaired, could you ask the gentleman to your right, our left, to spell his name?
Gentlemen to their left, my right. Can you spell your name?
It is Gursh space One.
Gersh 1.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to literally spell your name. Like Y-O-U-R.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm not that clever.
Or maybe he's too clever that he thought that's what you guys be expecting.
Maybe. Next question.
This one's by Reynil Calderon. Are you related to Tego Calderon by chance? Can Xenos technologies, specifically from Eldar and Necrons, have unlimited benefits for the Imperium in the long run if they're allowed to be used? Or is it just going to bring doom to all humanity?
I think it would bring doom to humanity because it's one of those things of like, if you win the lottery and you get all that money without any of the work, odds are it's going to destroy you. So if you are a human and you just discover Tesseract technology, like you didn't go through the process of earning that knowledge, so it's probably just going to blow up in your face.
Right. But at the same time, if, like, let's say the Imperium does harness this and manages to use it efficiently, they could be a huge, like, boost to their firepower. Because Necron technology can de-atomize, like, whatever they go up against. Eldar technology is all about wielding, like, psychic powers, the Infinity Stones, using freaking, like, Wraith units and stuff like that. That would be a huge boost to the Imperium. But again, like, what you don't know may consume you.
Yeah, and I also think that it would be a very slow process. Ooh, excuse me. Because I don't know if you guys know, or I don't know if you guys watch Joe Rogan, but he was talking about how I think it's the Pentagon released a thing saying that they do have a spacecraft that is not from this world or something like that. So they admitted to the fact that, yes, they're like, the whole theory or the conspiracy is that this is the crash spaceship from Roswell. And like it's not like we have flying discs now. It's like the closest thing we have to that is drones. So it's not like humanity made a giant leap because they have access to that. They don't know what it is. They don't know how it works. Or so we're being told. Right. But I think it is one of those things where it's like, even if you were to get technology that is far, far better than yours, the process of you understanding how that works is very long.
Yeah.
Like, odds are, like, you're going to have the Adeptus Mechanicus praying to this Tesseract, whatever, and then it's like, why are you doing that? How about you just take it apart and try to learn from it?
Because, I mean, you're seeing this with the Death Watch. It's like they're getting this Necron technology, and what are they doing with it? Using it as a power sword.
Yeah, that's
when, like, you could be using it to blow up planets and stuff.
Yep. We'll see what happens in the future with the whole thing with the spacecraft that they just happened to throw in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
The world is dying. Oh, and by the way, there's aliens.
Illegal ones?
Yeah. Trump is going to build a space wall.
Oh, so he's like the Dorn. Like he's making like space.
Yeah. The rings.
Yeah.
Oh no, Dorn did something else. I think he took the asteroid belt that's after Mars, right?
I believe so, yeah.
And then he just weaponized it.
Mm-hmm.
So now if there's an invasion, you have to deal with that ring of just turrets and battle stations and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But they did it in the Horus Heresy, so who knows?
Who knows? This next one is by Galileo D. What do you think the lion were to do if he were to awake? What would be his first course of actions?
He would roar. Like that.
Mm-hmm. And then the emperor would roar like right after him, kind of like in Simba and like Mufasa, the Lion King.
Oh yeah, then Simba gets scared or something, or the hyenas get scared.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, I really am back. And the emperor's like, no, I am back. And then we get two Primarchs, or a Primarch and Emperor all in one.
And we get proven wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What's this question?
Oh, what do you think the lion would be his first course of action?
Oh.
Well, obviously, he would have to meet up with Gilliman. Like, you can't have two Primarchs just working independently. Well, I guess you can, but I would want him to meet up with Gilliman. Gilliman tell him, well, hey, you're in charge of this sector. And then he's going to be like, well, no, I got to fight Luther, and I got to find out what's going on with Cypher and the Unforgiven. And then we'll have that story that we'll never get to.
Yeah, I think that's what would happen if any Primarch came back, where, like, their very specific thing would just be like they go away and they're not, because that's what happened to Gilliman. Gilliman showed up and now he's like, I'm gonna do the Ultima Crusade, and he's gone. Like, you don't really hear about him too much. He's doing his thing. And I think the same thing would happen with the Lion. He would talk to Gilliman, he would talk to the Emperor, and then his tangent story would be trying to figure out what's up with Cypher, the Fallen, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and we'll hear about it every 4 years.
Because what's the last thing we've heard of about Gilliman? Was he even in the Psychic Awakening?
I'm pretty sure he was, but like it's nothing that I'm like, oh, remember when Gilliman did this, or did you hear about that? Like, obviously when Gilliman first came out, he was like leading the whole crusade against chaos, and he was fighting against Mortarion, fighting against Magnus, and that's kind of it. Like,
not doing much.
There is a novel coming out that does focus on him, or it might already be out, but yeah.
And then this next question comes from Bobby Brown. Do you think a Tau sharpshooter would be better than an assassin sharpshooter? My answer is yes, just to piss you guys off.
Anything that the Tau does will be better than anything else.
Because if you really look at it, like, the Tau are technologically more advanced. They have drones, so they have like an assistant, whereas the Imperial assassin, what does he have? Skin that changes his body.
Millions of like body modifications and like indoctrination since birth to be the expert assassin. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
is he blue? No.
Exactly. So yeah, definitely the Tau sharpshooter.
I mean, just look at the Tau when they were fighting against assassins. Most of them ended up assassinating what they needed to.
Yeah.
Because Aunva died. Shadow Sun barely managed to live. Farsight, he did all right. But yeah, assassins definitely. Minus all the BS, yes, assassins.
Yes. This will be the last question. What you got?
Michael Bizon 444. So before the new Necron lore, they were just like, kill all life, go back to sleep. Not having bodies of flesh or needed crops or food or animals, one would think that the Tyranids would be the perfect match for them. Nids strip the galaxy of all that pesky life, and the Necrons get to sleep forever, right? So how does the newer recent lore change this?
Well, the Necrons are more motivated now.
Yeah, they actually have emotions, drives, ambitions.
And they have an enemy that's not just humanity or whoever's on their planet.
Mm-hmm.
Now their enemy is chaos.
Yeah.
And that's what the Pariah Nexus is all about. So they have figured how to nullify the Warp Rift, closing off not only the warp portals, but cutting off the veil between reality and the immaterium, which means that a lot of humans, obviously they're connected to the immaterium, most life in the 40K universe is, but it's like they're there, but no one's home. Like the lights just turn off for them.
Right. So it's a huge shift in the lore, because back then you're 100% right. It's just like, we're awake, let's kill all humanity and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So back then, yes, they would definitely ally with the Tyranids, because the Tyranids is like, eat all life, keep going. Obviously, Necrons don't have biomass or anything like that, so they'd be all right.
They do have an ass, though.
They do, with 3 S's.
Yes.
But yeah, now they're more individualistic. There's different dynasties with different like motivations. You've got the Silent King coming back, the Catan are being thrown into it too. So yeah, there's a lot more on the table currently than there was back in the day.
It's basically like a Thanksgiving feast for the Necrons.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a big change.
It is, which I think is better.
Oh, of course, because now you want to play Necrons. Now it's not just like, they're basically sci-fi zombies, or pharaohs or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, now you have like with Trays in the Infinite, you have like subplots on top of subplots.
I know back in the day, it's like you kill, what was it, like 25% of the Necrons, and they just lose automatically.
That was a stupid rule.
That was, but it was hilarious to see it. Like,
it happened once, yeah.
Our buddy was so salty. He didn't say a word. He just started picking up his army and left.
Yeah.
Which is very Necron of him.
Yeah.
No emotion, just
go to sleep. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for talking to us. Talk to you tomorrow.
This is the Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
And we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any